Hello and welcome to a special leadership series that we're running here on People, Politics and Planet. I'm your host, Joanne Roberts. I'm also interim leader of the Green Party of Canada. As many of you know, the Green Party is in the midst of a leadership contest right now. 9 people are seeking the leadership, which was left vacant when Elizabeth May stepped down in November after 14 years as leader. Now, fortunately, Elizabeth has stayed on as MP and is currently serving as parliamentary leader. Today, I'm having a conversation with Andrew West. And here on People, Politics and Planet, we're doing interviews with each of the contestants so you have a chance to get to know them better. Andrew is an environmental and business lawyer from Ottawa. He has run several times as a candidate for the Green Party of Ontario and serves as the party's official critic for the office of the Attorney General. Hello, Andrew.
Hi, Joanne. How are you?
I'm great. It's nice to see you.
Likewise. I should just clarify something you said at the top that people get confused about. I have a specialization in environmental law from the University of Ottawa, but I don't actually practice environmental law. I found that most of the jobs in environmental law were for oil sand companies, for example, looking to a way to get around the regulation. There's lots of jobs there in that area, but there's no way I could bring myself, obviously, to do that work. So I've started to take on most of my clients are clients of modest means, and I feel that that's my way to give back.
Yeah, I think that we talk about business law as if it can't be environmental law. And as you say, I think it's quite possible that those who are of modest means and maybe trying to have a triple bottom line also need good lawyers, don't they?
Yeah, well, I'm very fortunate that I'm a sole practitioner. So I seem to attract clients that really need help, and most of the clients I have are in a situation where they need help, and they're very good people, and they just unfortunately somehow attract a bad situation. So I'm happy to help them, and I find my practice very rewarding. So I'm very happy about that. And this is my way of saving the planet, running for the Green Party, as I have 4 times.
You know, you're consistent on that, Andrew.
Yeah.
You've never run away from a good contest if there's something to be gained from being in it. So I guess that's my question to you. Why choose to run for federal leadership now? Because I know it's something you gave a lot of thought to.
It has, and when I first started to think about it, I know that word got to you, and I'm choosing to run now because there's a vacancy. I mean,
Right.
that's the bottom line. But I feel that I can help get the party elected. I know that that's my vision, is to make sure to get the party elected. Now, having been a long time Green, having been in 4 elections, having been the Attorney General Critic for the Green Party of Ontario since 2015, I've come to know many people within the party, and I've come to know how great of a party this is.
Mm-hmm.
We have, time and time again, we have amazing, amazing candidates, but they just don't get the recognition that they deserve. And for the hardest nights that I've had in the past 6 or 7 years have been the election nights.
Yeah.
Because I go into every election to win, regardless of what the odds are. I go into every election to win because I believe the Green Party has the best policies. And I constantly hear, something that many Green Party candidates hear. Oh, saw your debate. You're the smartest person in the room. Best candidate by far. And then I finish 4th place. So I want to help change that for all the amazing candidates out there. I want to give them a strong voice, and I want to make sure that they get a lot of focus in the elections. And as I like to say, I want to be the lead voice amongst what are already so many strong, amazing voices.
One of the things you've said, Andrew, that I want to drill down a little bit on is that you hope that you can attract former Conservative voters to the Green Party. Yes. So let's talk about that. Where do you see the connection?
Well, first off, I like to keep the party in the center. And pretty much every other candidate, to some degree, in this leadership contest wants to take the party to the left. And I see that as, come election time, more candidates fighting over a smaller piece of the pie. I have always seen the Green Party as a big tent party, and I hear so many people say that to solve the environmental crisis, we need all hands on deck. So if there's people who have traditionally voted conservative, but they care about the environment, and I know that this is a large group of people, I find it disheartening that some people just seem to not want to approach them, that want to kind of block them off. But to me, again, we have to get as many people on our side buying this concept of helping the environment as possible. So I've grown up in a traditionally conservative riding. I've ran in traditionally conservative ridings, and I know there's a lot of voters
Yeah.
that care about the environment. They're conservationists, they're family farmers, but they want a fiscally responsible option. And they just automatically see the conservatives as that party. But history shows that they're not. So I want to be that option for all these voters who are just looking for a very responsible, fiscally responsible party. I think that that's our ticket to win, because it's usually these block of voters, these red Tories, or as I call them, blue Greens,
Yeah.
that get governments elected. And as I said, like, we have a crisis coming with the environment. We need to attract as many people as possible to see our vision and to vote for the Green Party. So I don't want to take the party in any direction that will limit that. I want to make sure we grow the party and attract as many people as possible.
Are you finding that message is attracting new members to the party right now during this leadership race? Like, are you able to convince people that at least for this race, they should sign up so they can vote for you?
Yes, absolutely. I find I'm having trouble getting out and trying to attract new voters, which I wish actually that the leadership contest was structured in a way that allowed me to do that. We have a lot of time having to fundraise and such, and signing up existing members to nominate us. So I don't have the time that I wish I did. But that would be priority number one as leader. Actually, no, sorry. Priority number one as leader is, and this should be the case for every contestant, is to get out to Saskatchewan, because they have an election within a month after the leadership contest. And traditionally, the Green Party does well provincially. So I would hope that, well, I certainly would, as the leader, get out to Saskatchewan and help get some Greens elected there, because it's the rising tide lifts all boats theory.
Yeah.
But signing up new members and building on our fundraising targets as leader is a huge priority of mine. And I think that keeping the party in the center to a broader base is a good way to do that.
Now, when you first, I know the first time I talked to you about whether you would run, we were pre-COVID. Then you decided to run, and the next thing you know, we have a pandemic on our hands, literally within a week. How has that changed your campaign, and what do you see, and this is kind of double-barreled, but what do you see, what you might take away from this experience that the party could learn from going forward?
So just gives a little bit of quick context. I had wanted to announce that I would be running for leadership earlier when other people were doing it, but I was actually asked by the Green Party of Ontario to run in a by-election in Ottawa. And I did that, and I'm grateful I did that, because that was more important to the Green Party as a whole at that time. And it was successful. We got the best showing percentage-wise that the Green Party has ever done in Orleans. So that was great news. But I originally wanted to do this cross-Canada tour in some sort of environmentally friendly way. So I was looking at different options, solar-powered trailer or motorhome, for example, because my wife and I were going to do this together. And it would have been great. We could have met many Greens and fulfill a fantasy that we both had, which is to see this country on the ground. But that didn't happen, so we're doing this virtually. And for me, it's actually really well. I find that I think I'm able to reach more people, actually, because some people are busy and they just can't go out to events. but it's not that difficult for them to just tune into a Zoom meeting like this.
Right.
So I think that actually kind of works in my favor, avoiding having to cross the country. What can the Green Party learn from this experience? Well, there's lots of little things that I'm hoping that we do differently in the next leadership contest. But I mean, this is the first one that we've had in, as you said, 14 years.
Yeah.
And when we had that last one, the party was much smaller. So it was easier to kind of get things done. But I think that moving forward, I think we can learn how to do debates online a little better. Some Green Party riding associations, and this is nothing to do with the Green Party in general, but some Green Party riding associations have put all 10 of us together, or 9 of us, and given us 60-second each to answer these questions. And it's so rushed. And if you make one stumble, then you're kind of, kind of out of it for a bit. So I think, hopefully that we have some debates coming up, and hopefully that the Green Party will learn from past debates about how to really make a strong showing, because that's the way a lot of our members are going to pick who the next candidate is these future debates.
Yeah, I really think we've been forced into it. And as a grassroots party, I don't think we'll ever abandon our ability to meet face to face and talk person to person. But I like the connectedness that we seem to be building into the party right now. So we'll see where it takes us. I did say that part of the reason for doing these podcasts is to help us all get to know the contestants a bit better. So let's talk about your growing up. What did you want to be when you were a child?
I'm going to be absolutely honest. This is not me making this up. When I was very young, I wanted to be Prime Minister.
There you go.
I am not kidding. Or King of Canada. I didn't know if that existed, but that was also in my head at the time. But it was a very young age that I changed away from that, simply because I got enthralled in television and I wanted to be on TV. First thing I actually wanted to do was be a stuntman, but that was very dangerous work. And then I got into comedy a lot. I watched a lot of Monty Python when I was a kid, and Kids in the Hall, and Saturday Night Live, Carol Burnett Show. That was a big one I watched a lot. So that had a big influence on me. So I actually did sketch comedy for quite a number of years, actually out of high school. And did pretty well. Actually had a video that was shown at Just for Laughs one year. But I didn't really find all that very rewarding work, so that's when I went back to school to study politics.
So maybe the roots of what you thought you wanted to be when you were a child have kind of just come back to be fulfilled now.
Well, yes. I mean, even when I was doing sketch comedy, I still was very political. I remember I did this one sketch about 2 well-dead prime ministers meeting in a bar and having a conversation. And it was quite funny, in my opinion. I had a lot of talks when I was young with my father growing up, who was the type of person that was political in the sense that he liked to complain a lot. And he was very, 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 very conservative.
Okay.
And I would always sit across from him at his desk and take the alternate position, play the devil's advocate. So it was far more of the socially progressive position with him. And I found when I got out into the comedy world, it was almost taking that opposite sense, just to have these intelligent conversations with people. So I really am grateful for that, because I felt that gave me a really broad sense of the political spectrum. And that's how I feel that I am. Like, when I talk about the Green Party, I talk about being as a win-win party, being socially progressive but fiscally responsible. And that's me as a person.
So who shaped that view of the world that you have? I mean, your dad obviously had a role in that. Who else would you say sort of came into your life at some point to help shape your worldview?
I've given that thought, and I really don't know if I have a strong answer for that, because I really didn't have, aside from my father who complained a lot, like there really weren't many people in my life that felt like they wanted to make a difference. Um, Ironically, one of the big impacts in my life, especially from an environment point of view, is my dad, who did something completely unintentional, which was take me to local dumps on an occasion when I was a kid. And it had a huge impact on me. The fact that I'd see all this garbage and all this waste, and I would ask, where does it go? And it's basically just here. It just sits here. It doesn't go anywhere else. And from a young kid, I vividly remember being in those dumps and just thinking, it's a waste. Like this isn't going anywhere. Do people know that this is where their stuff ends up?
Yeah.
So I think most of my own experiences of what shaped me has just been, me being a very inquisitive kid, wanting to find out stuff and asking all sorts of answers, because there was really nobody else that just kind of came up to me and just kind of sat me down and showed me how the world really was.
You talk about your goals for the party in terms of keeping the party in the center. Aside from that, do you have a strategy for how we increase the number of seats we win? Because the experience you described at the beginning, that's going to be familiar to so many Greens. People that like our policy, they wanted to vote for us, but at the last minute they changed their minds. So how do we turn that around?
First off, the leader has to connect with people, and I do that. I connect with people, and when I really put on a strong campaign, even though you don't really see the results on election night, you do see a growth of some sort. My first election, when I was in Ontario, it was a Green Party of Ontario election. We had the fourth most total votes of any riding in Ontario. So there's Mike Schreiner. It's not the election he won, but he got the first, and there was a couple other two strong ridings, and then ours riding. So I do know that people relate to me, and I feel that if we had a general election, I could win for the Green Party. I know it. But it's not just me alone. It's our great candidates, and that's where I would go to. I know some other leadership contestants are talking about building strong EDAs, but I've been on EDAs. I was the president of the Riding Association in Ottawa Centre for 2 years, and I served on the Canada Carleton Riding Association at the same time, and I've been to many other AGMs for EDAs for the past 4 years. Just to interrupt real quick, you have to understand, for the past 5 or 6 years, the Green Party has been pretty much my life, both socially and business-wise. Like, you have no idea. Like, most of my friends that I'm with now are through the Green Party. It really is pretty much my whole life. And ask my wife, and it's her too. I mean, she's on the executive of the Green Party of Ontario.
Yeah.
So, so it's all we really do pretty much. But I know how strong our candidates are, and I know that our EDAs are good, but they just need more help. So one thing I would do is really focus on strengthening our EDAs, making sure that they have the support they need, so they're walking in between elections and running when we get to an election. And then during an election, I would put more of a focus on our candidates. So for example, having ads where I show, here's so-and-so from this riding. She has a BA in economics. She's worked in the banking sector for so many years. She would be an excellent Minister of Finance. And really highlight all of our other good candidates, because I know the media is not paying attention to us. And it's not something that is an oversight, it's intentional. They're absolutely purposely ignoring the Green Party. So we have to find different ways on the ground to get our message out. And that's a good way to do it.
I'm asking every candidate this, and you can answer it how it fits you. So how does your family, and that's however you define family, how does it support your run for leadership?
My wife has been my best volunteer in every election I've been in. And I am very, very grateful for her. And it's another reason why you should vote for me as leader, because you're not just getting one person, you're getting two.
Right.
So she takes on every possible role that she can to help me in my campaigns. I am so absolutely grateful for it. And I just realized I had my wedding ring off, so I'll put that on right now. My mother started, I'm actually in my hometown. I'm not in Ottawa right now.
Yeah.
When the COVID-19 pandemic happened, my wife and I, we shut down our condo. We came to Owen Sound, which is where I grew up, to make sure that my mother was okay because she was laid off during the pandemic. And it's only now that she's starting to work a couple of days a week. So we may head back to Ottawa soon. But on some of her days off, she started to make some phone calls for me. So I have a pretty small family in that sense, but they've been pretty supportive. I do have a 16-year-old niece who's very excited about the possibility of me winning this leadership.
Oh, that's great. You know that being bilingual is very important to the next leader of our party, and I know that you do speak French. How would you describe your ability to speak French?
J'étudie français maintenant.
Okay.
J'étudie français pour 1 an et 6 mois.
Oui.
So,
18 mois.
I didn't really start, first off, I didn't start learning French until about a year and a half ago. I went to Jean Pierre in January of 2019. And I like to joke that before I went there, I basically only knew the words bonjour and bibliothèque. But I learned so much from being immersed in that culture. And I know how important being bilingual is. And that's why I chose to do this, because I want to be able to speak to Francophones in their own language. I'm running for leadership now because I know I can get the Green Party elected, and the climate emergency can't wait. My French can. I promise all the people who are watching, who are hoping that I will be bilingual one day, that I promise I will be. I'm committed to it. I have great support. I have a great teacher who is insisting on helping me every way that he can. I will become bilingual, I promise, because I know that's very important. In the meantime, once leader, I would have a very strong deputy leader who is bilingual to help as that happens.
Final question. If chosen leader, how important would it be to you to get a seat in the House of Commons? Would you be prepared to run anywhere in the country if there was a by-election?
I have a little bit of mixed feelings about that. We have a great set of MPs, so I know the job's being taken care of in the House of Commons. I do think it's very important to have the leader in the House of Commons because they get a lot of media exposure that way. But right now, it's not going to happen. As soon as the leader gets elected on October 4th, they're not going to get a seat in the House of Commons. So I would want to take advantage of that and do things like help, the Greens in Saskatchewan win some seats there, and help build up our riding associations during that time period. If a by-election comes up, and it might not be too likely with a minority government, but if a by-election comes up, I'd have to think long and hard about doing it. I'm a big fan of making sure that people have a connection in those ridings, having sort of a people. It doesn't mean they have to be born there. It doesn't mean that they have to be, maybe even living there. They could be living close by, but a connection of some sort. And if there was a candidate that had been running a couple times to build up their name recognition, then it would be unfair to me and all the other Greens that have been working so hard there to step in and say, okay, no, now I'm the person that's running here. I would actually want to support whoever was running there in the first place, because I think that in the long term, that's healthier for the Green Party. If there's nobody there in a riding, that's something I would possibly do, but I wouldn't want to take the rug underneath another candidate that's worked so hard to build up support for themselves in that riding.
And if you don't win this contest, what will you do going forward?
Well, I'm still going to be Green.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
I was after the AGM in Ottawa. that I saw Peter Bevan Baker at a little bit of a party afterwards and talked to him. And I said, my goal is to continue to run until I'm getting elected. And I call it the Peter Bevan Baker model. And he was so happy to hear that. He got a big smile on his face, and he was so glad that that was my intent. So I know that the Green Party will form government. Sure as I'm here sitting talking to you, I know it. And I know I can help the Green Party become government. So I'm continue to keep on running until that happens.
Music to my ears. As I say, I hope we don't all have to run 10 times to win like Peter did, but he has set the bar pretty high. Thank you so much, Andrew. It's great to talk to you.
Thank you so much, Joanne, and thank you so much for the work that you've done this past year. You've been, no one could imagine a better interim leader than you.
You're very kind. Thank you. Andrew West, one of the 9 contestants running to be leader of the Green Party of Canada. He is a lawyer from Ottawa. He has run, as you heard, several times, and he's going to keep at it till he wins as a candidate for the Green Party of Ontario, and serves as the GPO's critic for the Office of the Attorney General. And this is People, Politics, and Planet. I'm Joanne Roberts. We will be interviewing all 9 contestants in this race in both English and French. This podcast is produced by the Green Party of Canada with technical assistance from JP Davidson from Pop Up Podcasting. Thank you.